Today's topic is always really important to me because I always see people having discourse about this on the internet on why Nintendo didn't show this or why Nintendo showed us this and this, that, and the other. And I want to remember and I want to remind everybody that Nintendo's marketing cycle is not built for you. The hardcore gamer, the person who's always watching, looking at every news source, looking at every Reddit thread. It's not built for you. The market scheme is built for everybody else, all of the quote normies, the people who play video games on the side. That's what this is built for. But before I tell you why, let's talk about what their current marketing scheme is. So one of the biggest things they push out is that there are shorter lifespans of information. Usually this lasts about 3 to 6 months now. It's no longer you get a reveal trailer for Breath of the Wild in 2013 and then don't see the game till 2017. They're not doing that sort of thing anymore. They try and stay away from that because that gets them in trouble. They've switched to doing shorter lifespans with projects they know that are pretty close to done. So examples of this is like Donkey Kong Bonanza being about a 4-month span, or Star Fox, which was only a 2-month span between when we saw the game and when we have the game in our hands. And I think the same's going to happen here for the Ocarina of Time remake that's upcoming, that we're looking at seeing probably a 4 to 5 month span, with the game maybe coming out in November, possibly December. So one of those two things. Nintendo has switched to a lot of close cards encounters. They are very scarce about giving out information until they're ready. They pretty much don't give you anything. For example, they didn't say anything about Star Fox until the month and a half before it released, when they just randomly decided, yeah, we're going to do a Star Fox Direct in the middle of the day. And future projects like this, they're just not shown off until they're like, yeah, the game comes out in 6 months. The game comes out soon. Yeah, let's go ahead and show them. For example, a lot of those 2027 games that we saw at June Direct, they'll probably be the first half of 2027, and we'll probably get dates for most of them in the September Direct or whatever event they do next. Nintendo has switched to doing a lot of smaller directs. They are starting to steer away from doing the big directs. They know that regardless of what they put out, people are going to always complain. People are going to say, no, we don't want this. No, we want Hollow Knight Silk Song 3. We want Delta. People will always complain. And so it's bad press for them. Or they will feel like they've given you a lot of information, and then people online will still complain and say, you didn't show us anything. You didn't show us. This was just a bunch of RPG games. And I think that they're trying to get away from that kind of publicity, and have been slowly kind of conditioning everybody into this new system where they give directs for specific upcoming projects. We've seen this for pretty much all of the Switch 2 lifespan. It happened with Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza, Star Fox, and most recently we had the Splatoon Direct to kind of show off what the game is and how they plan on playing it. And then they wait till probably a week or two before the game drops, and then they do like big publicity blowouts for whatever game's coming out. So they'll change the banner, they'll just do every daily post of like, oh, here's the characters in the game, here's the locations, here's what you can do, just so you can get people excited. But why is it so successful? It's successful because they were tracking the trends of content creators and consumers as a whole. They were tracking to see how long do people stay interacted with an idea from release of the trailer to release of the game, and then they started bundling around that. Usually the market cycle for a game or for an idea is determined about how long social media workers think that the game hype will be successful for keeping it up. For example, the Star Fox remake, which we knew was a 1-to-1 remake of Star Fox 64, that one's not going to carry much weight for longer than 2 months, maybe 3 months. Because after 3 months, you're not going to care. You're like, okay, we know what this game is going to be. We don't want to see it. But on the other hand, Ocarina of Time's remake, that is such a big next level remake that you're talking about, and it's such a big IP that the hype and the conversations around it, especially from content creators, is going to kind of carry the flame for a while. That's why we hadn't got anything for the month of pretty much the month of July, and I don't think we're going to get anything until probably September, right? Because the whole idea is that they know that through discourse and through all the conversations and content that's being made, the hype itself is going to kind of keep generating until they get ready to give us the next thing. Now, whether or not they gave us enough information in June, that's a different question, but I could make a whole nother video talking about that Ocarina of Time remake announcement, and let me know if you guys want to see that. But the biggest thing is that they're building a system that's pumping out information at a rate that's going to reinvigorate hype as they get closer to release, to make sure that, okay, oh, it's kind of calming down. Let's give them something new to flip on. For example, a lot of people were not like incredibly sold on DK Bonanza. They were like, oh, it's going to be whatever. It's a Switch game, until they saw the Donkey Kong Bonanza Direct, where it showed us, okay, no, this is something that you're going to get to do. This is a main mechanic of the game, and this is part of what it looks like now, and these are all the different worlds. And then it really brought everybody in. But here's the problem with this strategy. This strategy works well for people who are already in that console realm, who like have a Switch 2 or have a Switch, and so they're in the Switch world, right? So for them, it's just like, oh, okay, new game, now I can go pick it up whenever it comes out. I'm excited for it. But this strategy really concerns stockholders and investors, like a lot. They hate it, because one of the things that stockbrokers and stockholders, one of the things that they love when it comes to stocks is certainty. They love information, they love certainty. And so when they are trying to make financial decisions, they want to make sure that they're teaming up and they're working and they're buying stock and giving money to companies that they can trust, that have products that are going to sell well. So for example, if I know that Sony's getting ready to drop, God of War 3, whatever, in their new trilogy, right? Me buying a little bit of stock in them is going to bring their money up, because we know that they're getting ready to do something crazy. But when I don't give you any information until right before it comes out, it feels like more of a risk for me to continue to keep funneling or giving you money, because I don't know what you're doing with it. I don't know, are things going well? Are things not going well? For them, it's a stressful situation. But it has a hard time of convincing new people to join your ecosystem. When you don't have a lot of information, or you're not sharing a lot, sometimes it's hard for people to be like, why should I buy a Switch 2? I mean, like, look now, when you're looking at people buying a game, the biggest games that are out right now are Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Pokemon Pocopia. Those are like the big 3 games on Switch 2 right now. If you don't care about any 3 of those games, then you're like, why should I even buy this Switch? It's really hard to convince new people if they don't see the long-term value of it, right? And you can see how it's affected PlayStation and Xbox in this most recent generation. That's why the sales have been going down. It's not just prices, it's the fact that players don't feel like they're getting enough out of their console, because there isn't really much going on. I mean, look at the differences between when we got the PS5 that dropped, and now look how many games that came out that were specifically PS5 that don't come on any other console, that are just for PS5, and it's like 3 of them. And that's a problem, right? Where they don't feel like I'm getting enough out of this, and so I'm just not going to pick this up. But in conjunction with that, this might also convince people to leave, right? There might be people who say, I don't want to pick up a Switch 2, or I have a Switch 2 and now I'm going to sell it because there's nothing out for this thing. I bought it because of the hype, but now I'm not really seeing it. I'm just going to sell it on Facebook Marketplace, or I'm going to sell it on eBay and just kind of get my money back and go get a Steam Deck or go get a ROG Ally, which in this economy, I wouldn't even recommend selling anything like that. Those are the big problems with this strategy. But the problems with it don't outweigh for them the financial, the commercial success that they get when they use this system, right? This system works really, really well when it's for something big. For example, when we get Ocarina of Time, it's going to be a huge commercial success for them. Is it going to be GTA level of success? Absolutely not. But we're going to see a whole lot more Switch 2 units sold at the end of the year. We're going to see a whole lot of Ocarina of Time purchases at the end of the year, as well as some of these other games that may get picked up at Christmas time. We're getting Ocarina of Time, but while I'm in there, I might as well also get Donkey Kong, or may get Mario Kart, or may get Splatoon Raiders. That may be up my alley, stuff like that. The Nintendo Switch Sports 2, that's another one that'll have a big blowout moment when we get to it in October. But what do you guys think about Nintendo's marketing strategy? Do you hate it? Do you think that it has some merit? Do you think that it's a better system than what they used to do with just waiting for big directs to release stuff? Just let me know down in the comments. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy, and I'll catch you later.